Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations, and it doesn't get more beautiful than this. Giving you my thoughts and opinions on everything that's happening in the world, in the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. This is what I do. I hope you enjoy it. If you're a returning subscriber, all 1,228 of you I think there are today, welcome back. It's a privilege and an honour, my honour, to have so many people join me for these walks. Thank you one and all for being here. So today, by the title, I'm going to be talking about personal responsibility. And personal responsibility extends in multiple different directions, and we're going to try and examine some of those today. And I do these videos because I want to obviously share my opinion for what that's worth. I mean, I leave that entirely up to you for what my opinion is worth to you. My opinion to me is my opinion, but what my opinion means to you, you get to decide. And I also I want to inject an alternative viewpoint, a different way of looking at things into the public consciousness, because our public consciousness is seeded by multiple different sources, mainstream media, politics, and lots of different areas. So everyone's got their own spin on what is happening in the world, and I want to inject mine into that because quite often mine is it differs from the mainstream. Let's put it that way, and we need to be able to take in those different concepts, different ideas, and different ways of looking at things. Because if we can't, we have a unipolar way of looking at things, and that doesn't help us to change or adapt or overcome anything. So that's why I'm doing this one today. That's why I generally do all these videos. It's not about bigging myself up. I'm not trying to monetize this or anything like that. While we're on that subject of monetization as well, I understand if people are going to be full-time journalists or citizen journalists or whatever they want to call themselves, and they want to go out and look at information and present that information to people, or they're using their skills or their talent to make money. But the problem I see, especially in this truther community, is we're all labelled by the same tarred and by the same brush. People within the truther community are more and more seeking to monetize information. I understand if people are going to take that on as their full-time gig, and they're going to, if that's going to be their full-time thing, and searching for information and presenting that information to people, I understand why they want to monetize it. I do. I get it. But at the same time, it's painful to watch that. Sources of information that I like to look at a diverse range of information. I have a subscription to The Economist, to the Wall Street Journal, a few different things like that, and truther channels. I mean, sort of really far off conspiracy stuff. But I like to look at a diverse range of information, because then you can sort of look for the nugget of truth in all of it. But as more and more sort of truther channels are going down the road of monetization and paywalls, it upsets me, because it's not about the information, it's about them and how important I am. I don't see myself as important in this fight. Well, my contribution to whatever means that is, and whatever you take from this, is tiny, and it is a voice in millions of voices. So I don't understand why you want to remove your voice from that public consciousnness by putting it behind a paywall. But if that's what people insist on doing, then I understand, because if that's what they want to make their main source of income. But it grates on me that so many people are going down that road, monetizing information, especially information that's public. It doesn't make any sense to me. But enough about that. Let's move on because that feeds into the conversation of what we're talking about today, is personal responsibility. Okay, so personal responsibility, what am I referring to? Now, Personal responsibility is not only about what you do in this world, and it is beautiful. I mean, look at it. We're in summertime here in Suffolk. It is hot. I mean, it's been very, very hot. It's for this part of the world anyway. I'm from Australia. Yeah, I work in kitchens and have done for 35 years. Oh, and another point, well, just to be slightly off subject, I have taken a lot of criticism over the years, and people have tried to attack me and throw all sorts of things at me. You need to understand something, okay? I've been a chef for 35 years. I work in one of the most inhospitable environments: stress, heat, fire, knives. It's crazy. I've worked in kitchens for 35 years. That's my job. It's not who I am. It's my job. I've worked in kitchens for 35 years. It is one of the most toxic, hard, stressful environments you can work in. And I've done that for 35 years. So if you really think that some mean words are going to bring me down, it's not going to work. If I can handle that, if I can handle working in 50-degree kitchens, have people hurling abuse at me with knives and fire and stress and all the rest, a few words really isn't going to touch me. So have at it. Now, personal responsibility. Okay. So personal responsibility, we have to take responsibility for where we are and how we got here. And I'm talking individually and as a collective. Okay. Now, last night I sat my children down, and for about the 15th time that I've seen it, but the first time my children have watched it from start to finish, and my wife as well, we all sat down and watched the movie called The Secret. Now, if you haven't seen The Secret, it's by a woman called Rhonda Burns, I think it is, Australian woman. Watch it. Watch it. Because it is about the law of attraction. Okay? The law of attraction, we attract that which we think about most. Energy flows where attention goes. That kind of, if you're giving something a lot of attention and energy, then of course that's gonna show up in your life more often. There's lots of science behind it. Trust the science. For people who trust the science, there's lots of science behind it, quantum physics and all that kind of jazz, because in short, for those of you who have looked at any kind of science, you would know, anybody who's read about any kind of science as well, you would know that purely by observing, you're influencing the results of that experiment. Okay? So if you're putting a lot of attention on something, then that's going to endure. Because your attention, you're giving it energy, which gives it life. Everything is energy. So the more energy you give something, more attention, the more it's going to show up. Okay? First point. So when we're talking about how we move through the world, what attention we give to things, and our personal responsibility in it, what I see more and more often, I try to avoid the mainstream media. I mean, I have to look at it because, if I don't, well, what was the thing that Denzel Washington said? If you don't look at the news, you're uninformed, and if you do, you're misinformed. So what do? Now, I try to sort of skim over media, I skim read it, I listen to information at 2 or 3 times the speed. I take in a lot of information and try to discern for myself, what do I think about that? Now, the issue that we face in our world right now is that people are looking at one source of information, or one place for information, maybe the mainstream media. Maybe you watch, if you're in the UK, maybe you watch the BBC News. I mean, why you would is beyond me. It's like watching CNN in America. If you're looking at one source of information, that like science, if you're looking at one place for information and not checking that against different other sources of information, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're being influenced by one person. Now, as I've said on many, many occasions, coming here and looking at or listening to what I have to say, looking at the beautiful locations, obviously, because it is gorgeous. If you're relying on one source of information for your belief system, you're not taking personal responsibility. You're giving your trust, you're basing everything on one source of information, and it's not healthy. It doesn't do you any good. Now, I don't expect you to believe a word I say. I'm thankful that you listen, but I want you to go and do your own research. Now, I've been told as well, you can't do your own research. The internet's not reliable, blah, blah, blah. Do your own research and decide what you believe, because as soon as you take on somebody else's belief system, it's no longer yours. Now, you can go through and look at different sources of information and use your own discernment for your belief systems. So, I've looked at, I went to a Catholic school when I was young. So I had an influence of Catholicism in my life. I have worked with the Islam channel, and I've opened restaurants, halal restaurants here in the UK. Had a lot of influence by the Muslim religion. I have, I know Buddhists, I know, you name it, across the board. I've had lots of influence from religion. Okay, but I wouldn't consider myself to be religious. I wouldn't consider myself to be spiritual. I have a different belief system. I believe in a higher power, a God, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Consciousness, universe. People have got lots of names for it, and I know people don't like the word God because of the implications it has to religion, and religion has bastardized the word God. I get it. But I don't have a religious belief system. Make sense? So I've taken all the different influences that I've come into contact with, and I've developed my own idea of what I believe. Make sense? So I'm borrowing from all these different areas of things that I've come into contact with. What makes more sense to me? What somebody's telling me from the TV, what I'm seeing myself, what I've read in other places. What makes more sense? Now, how do we get to a place where we have the world in absolute turmoil? It is. I mean, you can't deny it anymore. I've been warning about this for months and months and months. Things are going to get crazy. And we're not done. We're far from done here. We're a long way from being done of this lunacy that's going on. Governments falling, prime ministers leaving their positions. It is. It's insane what's going on in the world. And it is going to get crazier. The economy's failing. The financial system is showing cracks. The Eurozone is in turmoil. Russia, everything's Russia, of course, because Russia's responsible for everything. I had no idea that everything came from Ukraine. Did you know that? No idea. But how do we get to this place? I mean, really, how do we get to a place that everything is in turmoil at the same time? Well, because we've had it so good for so long that we all took our eyes off the ball. And I'm as guilty as anybody. We all took our eyes off the ball. We all took our eyes off these politicians. Politicians. The fact that you need to go to university to get a degree in political science. Science! Are we trusting that science? Trust the science! Are we trusting political science? Do we trust that science as well? Because all science need to be believed, right? Political science. And while we're on the subject of science, monkeypox is now a worldwide pandemic declared by Tedros, who's the head of the WHO. So monkeypox has now been confirmed to be a worldwide health crisis, confirmed by Dr. Tedros, who went against the panel who suggested no, who are medical doctors. Dr. Tedros, who runs the WHO, is not a doctor, medical doctor. He is an economist. And he has overruled doctors to declare that monkeypox is a worldwide problem. Now, if you've had a look at the science, that 5 people across the world have died. So obviously it's serious. And it's spread through sexual contact. But yeah, we're talking about vaccinating children. Oh, I understand that in Hollywood. If you understand that, then welcome along. But the issue that we're facing is, how did everything get to this point? You know, we've taken our eyes off the ball for so long, and we've let these criminals, and they are criminals, this criminal syndicate take over the world, run through the WEF and you know, these think tanks. Obviously everything's well thought out. You couldn't have chaos like this if it wasn't thought out. Because at some point, some rational thinking person would do something to offset the chaos, no? Or would they just add to it? Think tanks. World Economic Forum. We're transitioning to green fuel. We don't have it yet, but we're going to stop you from using fuel. You know, these kind of things is like, if you're just looking at one source of information, which is the news. Oh yes, I even had a friend. This is how warped the world is. A friend, when the whole fuel prices were going up, and she said, "Oh, I don't worry about the fuel prices. I've got an electric car." What happens when your electricity bill goes up? But like mine did, using a green tariff, because I had no idea that green energy became more expensive all of a sudden, 400% more expensive. So if you're on a green tariff and now you've got an electric car and it's gone up 400%, it's probably going to be cheaper to buy fuel. But we've got a situation now where the world is in turmoil. The politicians like to tell us that, well, this is just how the world's going to be now. If you look at all the front page of all the newspapers, it's fear, it's panic, it's worry, it's doubt, it's fear, asteroids, you know, new virus, you know, everything is going to kill you. Now, if we go back to what I said at the start, I watched The Secret, and the seeding of all the messages that are coming into our consciousness is all negative. What's the result going to be? Are people going to be looking at all this negativity and things that are going to kill them? Oh my God, the economy's failing. Asteroids are coming. New virus. More lockdowns. Climate change. You know, everything, every message that you're getting is negative. And we wonder how we got to a place where everything's in turmoil. Well, I'm not wondering. I know. You know, I've been pointing out this lunacy to my friends on Facebook and every other place in my circle of influence, as they call it, for a long, long time. You know, being ridiculed and mocked, and you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, the usual nonsense. But now all those things that I've been talking about are becoming plainly obvious to everybody, but they still want to deny it because they want to live in this bubble of, oh yes, but. This is the issue. It's so hard to let go of an idea that you hold as being truth, because you know, people have gathered their truth from the source that is making them fearful. So whilst we're here, well, the asteroids are coming, the dinosaurs are all fossil fuel. How many dinosaurs were there? Wow, there must have been a lot of dinosaurs in order to create all that oil. Okay. But we're not questioning that. We're not questioning the whole fossil fuel argument and how much oil there is in the world. Even though in the 70s, I'm pretty sure I heard multiple stories about we'd be out of fuel in 10 years. I'm pretty sure as well back in the 70s they were saying we were going to be in an ice age by 2000. And I'm pretty sure that Al Gore said that the polar ice caps would be gone by 2013. Strangely, when you revisit those, you know, I was talking with a 20-year-old work colleague the other day who was telling me, oh, of course climate change is real. Look at the world, look at the summer. How dare it be 30 degrees in summer in England? You know, it astounds me And I say, well, look, go back 20 years and look at the newspaper articles 20 years ago, before you were born. You know, this division amongst the people, division is being sown into our society. I mean, everywhere you look, youngsters are being urged to choose their pronouns. We've been speaking about pronouns ad infinitum. It's insane. You get to decide. You know, it doesn't matter what science. See, the thing that amazes me is we're being told, trust the science. Okay, trust the science. But when science says, okay, well, you're born with an XX or an XY chromosome, oh, that's not the science we're trusting today. Oh, okay. So which science are we trusting? Which science is settled? This is where it comes down to personal responsibility, because if you're not willing to look at information that runs counter to what you believe, then you're not taking any personal responsibility. You're ceding your responsibility over to another person or another entity that is going to guide you the direction that they want you to go. The social engineers are guiding you down a path that they want you to go. And that is done by seeding information through our consciousness, through the media, through social media, you know, every other, you know, in Instagram and Facebook or Meta, you know, who owns Instagram as well, by the way. Wasn't invented by Mark Zuckerberg, by the way. Facebook, LifeLog, look into it. What do I know? I'm crazy. But this fear and worry and doubt, panic, is being and this obfuscation. Obfuscation, I love that word. Of information and the double standards and complete embarrassing. I mean, it is embarrassing the way that they just, one minute they say, well, you're going to trust the science, and then the next second they say, but that's not the science that we're trusting. XX and XY chromosomes, not science. That's not the science. It's the other science. But what about this science that says that? The overall say, no. This is the new science because it's evolving. It's evolving science, even though the science is settled. It's still evolving. I have to take a break. I have to take a breath. This is what we all should do. Come out places like this and take a breath. Disconnect from the world for a little bit and decide what's really true. What's true to you? What do you see? Now, this is the other thing that we hear constantly. Don't trust your lying eyes. Don't trust your lying eyes. How many people do you know that are dead from 2020? I'm not even going to say the word because it's nonsense. How many people do you know are dead from 2020? None? But we're told everyone is, right? We're going to trust the science. Now, personal responsibility comes back to the issue that I have, and I understand everyone does, is we have with our economy in free fall, with the financial system just being blown up deliberately, people are so pushed to the edge financially that the people have to work a lot, and they don't want to spend the time that it takes to go and research information and go and look at information that runs counter to what they believe. And they're not even going to, because why would I need to? Why wouldn't I trust the people that have been put in front of me as being the experts? But I heard a really great analogy when I was a kid, that an expert is X is a former, and a spurt is a drip under pressure. Former drip under pressure, an expert. We're trusting these people that have been put forward as experts when they're being revealed as being fools. The people who are running the country, for instance, who are telling you one thing and they're doing the opposite. These are the people we're putting our trust in. Political science, we all know. If you ask the average person on the street, are politicians liars and cheats? Of course they'll say yes, because they are. But yet we're trusting them to make the most intimate decisions of our lives that affect every single one of us, not only health decisions, but financial decisions,
And there's so much pressure being put on people to conform. Now we're also told that we want to, you know, we want to support individuality and we want to support people being themselves and individuals, but you have to think the same way as everyone else. How is that individuality? How is that a freedom of choice to choose who I want to be and what I want to believe in? Oh, it's irresponsible because it's going to affect other people. Well, other people's decisions affect me every day. So it comes down to personal responsibility. You have to be able to stand in your position and be unyielding. But most of us aren't willing to do that, aren't willing to do the work that it requires. And I don't, trust me, I understand with the amount of work pressure and children. I work 70 plus hours a week. I do. I've got 2 young children. I try and keep up with the people in the community. There's so much that I do. I try and take phone calls from people. I'm emailing. I spend so much of my time giving my energy to things. I have a veggie garden. I've just taken on a huge allotment as well. The amount of work that I have on my plate at any one moment is massive. Massive. But I'm happy to do it, because I'm happy to go and look at information. When I'm doing all these things, I've got things playing in my ear. I've got podcasts playing. I've got research documents being read to me. I've got, I'm constantly taking in information with what I'm doing when I'm working or when I'm out walking or working in the garden. Because I take it as my personal responsibility to inform myself so that I can make good decisions for me and my family, and to be able to present information to the people of the world through this platform or whatever platform I'm using, social media, anti-social media, to share that information. So people who don't have the time, the energy or the willingness to do the kind of research that I do, I am sharing what I see that I think is interesting with people to help them. Now, people might not see it as help. They might see it as a personal attack, because people don't want to have their ideas of who they are and what they believe in challenged. So, what I'm going to give to you today is I want to say that we all have to take responsibility for ourselves and ourselves only, and our actions and what we're doing and what we're leaving behind in this world. That's the only thing that we can do while we're here. As I've said many, many times over, I've got most of my life wrong. I've got more wrong than I've got right in my life. I haven't been a good father. I haven't been a good husband sometimes. I've got more wrong than I've got right. Trust me. I used to drink a shed load of booze. I don't drink anymore. I used to do a hell of a load of drugs. I don't do that anymore. I've changed my life. I've tried to make myself the best version of me that I can, and I'm not going to make excuses for what I did before. I did it. It's, but it's also shaped me into the person that I am today, to be able to make decisions the way that I am and to share information the way that I am, because I can come from a viewpoint of people. If people want to attack me and say, well, you don't know what it's like, I do. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So I want you all to understand that your place here in this reality, if that's what we're going to call it, your place, what are you here to do? This is your personal responsibility, is to do what you're here to do. You're to leave the world better than what you find it. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to share information to help people to see something different than what's being force-fed to us. Now, there are a lot of people that are seeing it. There are a lot of people that are changing their way that they think and their consciousness, and waking up and seeing it and going, oh. Now, with the negative influences that are all around us, that is going to negatively impact us. So I want to seed into that conversation the positivity, because as more people see this, and the corruption and the greed and the fraud, then as we wake up from this spell that we've been under, then we can start to change things through what we're doing in the world, what we're leaving behind, our marker in the world. So that's what I'm doing. We have to take personal responsibility for that. And I urge you all to do so as well. If you don't want to do the research, then look at the information I provide. Look, not everything's about information. I'm going to be doing an interview in the next sort of couple of weeks. We're just trying to organise a date with a guy about crypto. I'm going to be doing another interview with an independent filmmaker who's done his own films. Awesome stuff, Randy. As soon as I can get that interview organised, buddy, we're doing it. Next week I'm on with the G-Man over at the Comic Book G-Spot, and then on the Generation X-Men. I'm all over the place because I want to go out and share a message with people to say, don't panic. Don't panic. The world is what we make it. Don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the fear. Don't listen to the panic. Listen to yourself and share information that is going to lift people up and benefit them. Help them change their mindset from a negative to a positive, because the world isn't all bad. It really is a beautiful place. Now, I'll leave that there for today. I hope you enjoyed what I did today. Thank you one and all for joining me. I can't tell you what it means to me. It really does. It buoys me to know that more people are watching this. Even though the algorithm is saying that less people are watching my videos, I put the information out there. People get to choose what they do with it. So, go out into the world. Do good and be good. And you can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you interact with people. And that's how genuinely we change the world. Share information that you think works for you. Share this if you think it's good. If you don't, that's fine as well. All right, thank you all for joining me once again. Love you all. Look after yourself, look after each other, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Ciao for now.